Welcome to Mike and Vicki's retro futuristic super duper new and improved Paranormal Hour. Dr. Lynch is a scientist and Vicki Main is a psychic. And together they will explore the paranormal world. And you can listen in. And welcome to the show. I'm Dr. Lynch, and this is the world-renowned Psychic to the Stars, certified hypnotherapist, and psychic Vicki Main. We're here in St. Louis, and Vicki, we've got a few things on the docket today. One is that the hot topic is spiritual attachments to the human body or to people.
Right.
And under hypnotherapy, you're able to talk to these attachments and have the subconscious mind of an individual alert you to their attachments.
More or less.
More or less.
And by the way, hello.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Hello, Vicki. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yes. How are you doing today, Michael?
I'm you know, how many diseases can one man have? So that's my plight. Every day is a new disease, and senility and Alzheimer's is just one of them.
Right.
But we're doing good. I'm doing good.
Yeah, good.
Yes.
Yeah. And just so folks know, I'm also a registered nurse.
Yes, I'm sorry. You're a registered nurse,
Yeah.
Certified hypnotherapist, and psychic to the stars. She is, Vicki Main is co-host and has a wealth of knowledge, not only in the medical world, but in the psychic world as well. So she's the psychic and I'm the scientist.
That's it.
And we will, cross paths, but we'll never cross swords. So that's kind of the way it kind of goes. So some people have been talking about entity attachments lately, and this is different than a possession.
Absolutely.
Possession is a total control over a person's body, being, mind. And entity attachment is far more subtle.
Absolutely.
And
very subtle.
It may not be, our conscious mind may not readily understand that we have attachments. Is that
conscious mind has no clues. The conscious mind is all about the body,
right?
Keeping the body functioning. It's all about, that's all it does. And besides running interference, say somebody wants, to have hypnosis or something, it's going to go, no, don't do that. It's going to run interference, and that's its job.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. It's its job. So it's the subconscious that is what we need to access. For other therapies, we'll talk about later.
Right.
But also to find these little attachments that there could be one, there could be multiple in somebody's body.
Now, we've discussed this and we've known about this for years, 10, 15 years, probably, a long time. And we've never really talked about it in depth before or in length because we just accepted it as a reality.
Yes.
We accepted it as a reality, and I never thought of, I accepted it, and we just kind of move on. But lately, people have been going to, because people are overweight, people smoke, people drink a little bit too much, they gamble or whatever, and they're going down and having hypnotherapy done, so that they can break some of these neurotic bad habits, these neuroses. And the whole point is that through hypnosis, they are able to kind of get rid of their bad habits. In a way.
Yeah.
But while they're under hypnosis, they notice that there's something else going on with their bodies, and they have a subtle entity attachment.
No.
Maybe not be subtle, but they do realize that there's an attached entities.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're the hypnotherapist, so walk us through it.
Okay.
I'm giving you the reins here, so you just walk us through.
Okay. Now, it's doing two different things, actually. It's just because you're working with fear or phobia, you're doing something different with the subconscious mind. Okay. But if you're looking for attachments, that's a different process of what you need to do. And what you need to do, if you're suspecting that, as a therapist, what I have to do, we'll put it that way, is I have the body, the mind, subconscious mind, scan the whole inside of their body, from the top of their head to the tip of their fingers to the tip of their toes, and just examine the whole thing. And that's when they're found. is when this internal body scan is done. The person will say, oh, there's one here in my shoulder. Okay. So what I do then, and this has to be done with each one we found, they're all individual, is I talk to the entity, and I tell the entity to look inward. They'll see a white light, a little white light, and to keep watching it, because it's going to grow, and watch, it's going to grow white, more white, more white, until the entity is totally white. When it becomes totally white, it can now move on. And it does move on. And then you go on to the next one and the next one, depending. When person says, well, that's all, I said, well, okay, do one more body scan just to make sure. Sometimes they hide. So do one more and just make sure. And there's been times when we found another one that was hiding somewhere. And other times they're like, nope, all gone. And bring them up. They feel much better. The thing with these attachments, they can be very benign. They're just in there, hiding, someplace to be. Okay. And other ones, a little more sinister. They're going to cause problems. They're going to attach themselves to, generally a joint, shoulder, wrist, knee, and the patient never knows why that always hurts. They can't find anything wrong with it, but the doggone thing is always aggravated. Always bothers me. Because you got a little attachment in there that's causing the problem.
So my tennis elbow could be an attachment.
Bingo. Yes.
So that's interesting. And they're not in soft tissue. You don't think they're in soft tissue? They're mainly in joints.
No. They can be in soft tissue. But generally, in their soft tissue, they aren't causing problems. They're just kind of hiding in there. That's all. It seems to be the ones that want to cause trouble. They're the ones that's in mostly the joints that are causing problems. For the most part, they might sometimes cause a stomach issue, but for the most part, then they don't cause colitis or, things like that. They usually in the soft tissue and the abdomen, around the abdomen, they're just kind of hiding is what they're really doing. And so, and they don't realize that they're supposed to be moving on. Do
we know why that these attachments occur? Is there a reason behind it? Is there, it may be different for each attachment, but is there a reason we can assess?
Well, generally, they aren't moving on to the other side like they're supposed to. A lot of different reasons, that's what gives us Ghost 2, which is another show. But they aren't moving on. So they're just attaching themselves because they don't know what else to do, basically. Now, they can come in through a tear or hole in the aura, because the aura protects us. But if it's not good, if there's a tear or hole in it, they can get in that way. They can also just become attached through the person being vulnerable. And
depressed,
depressed.
vulnerable at a moment,
Right. And, for whatever, vulnerable for whatever.
For whatever reason.
Yeah. And they can, and they're going to seize the moment on that. So, that's kind of basically how they get in, and they don't belong there. And so that's why I'm like, okay, now, and that's the method you need, because then they think they're not worthy. That's why they're so dark. They just don't know. But there's a light in all of them. Okay, they just need to find it. And that's what that's about. Look deep inside, and you're going to find a little white light, and you're going to watch it, and it's going to grow and grow and get bigger throughout your body. It's going to get bigger, and until they're totally white, and they're like, and they just move on. They go on. Yeah, interesting.
Now, all of this is done under hypnosis.
Yes.
And modern day people look at hypnosis as, I'm going to quit smoking. I'm going to, help my diet not eat so much. I'm going to, if I have a neurotic tendency, I'll go to hypnosis, and then I'll find the pattern and break up the pattern and things like that. So people go to it for hypnosis for, you might say, basic things. They're not going for major things, but they're going for basic things.
Yes,
but you're able to go in and find the source of these reasons. The origin of the problem. Now, walk us through how a person would do that, so that we can see how hypnotherapy is very constructive to the psyche.
Very therapeutic.
Therapeutic.
Yeah,
right.
very therapeutic. what I would do in the case of, let's say, a phobia, okay, I would have, after I had that person under hypnosis, and I would tell them, and I would also actually tell them if I'm sending somebody in a past life or, anywhere, and I tell them if there's a scene that they're seeing while they're under hypnosis, to view it strictly as a movie. No emotion to it, no attachment to it, no feeling to it. You're just watching a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what keeps them calm. That's what irritates me with these television and movies. They're hypnosing somebody and they're yelling and screaming at this trauma, and it's like, you don't do that. You don't do that. That's trauma number 2. Hello.
It's dramatic effect. It's dramatic effect.
It
you
is.
know what I'm saying?
It was written in the script.
It was in the script. That's
I know.
Right.
But that is truly the way, what you should do. And that's with anything, because you never know what's going to happen. And so you tell them that, so then they do. It's, oh man, I'm watching this man stab me. Seriously, I've heard this stuff. No emotion to it because I told him no. So anyway, back to where we're going. So in what I take them back, I take them to the origin of the problem, whatever it may be. Okay. And this can be worked with food allergies too.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah,
But you're saying we're going to the origin of the problem. Does that mean in this lifetime, like it happened to me when I was a child, or are you talking about past lives?
Both.
Okay.
Both. Yes.
Okay.
It can come from this lifetime. It could come from lifetime a million years ago. I mean, you could be dragging an issue around life after life after life after life. Okay. Until you learn that lesson and resolve that, you're going to have the same problem. The same problem. Okay. I had somebody once that wanted a past life regression. So I regressed her. And she went back to this life and she's talking about this life. And then she spontaneously went to a second life. Doesn't happen often, but it happens. Okay. So all of a sudden she flips into a third lifetime. Only person I've ever had flip into a third lifetime. And she's doing her talking and talking. And she just suddenly goes, oh my God. And I'm doing it again. The subconscious is going to take you to a lifetime that's going to help you resolve whatever it is you're supposed to learn in this life. So apparently this lady was not learning her lesson. And this was lifetime number 4, and she was still doing the same thing. But now that she knows, and I have no clues what it was, none of my business, I don't care. Just it works for her. So now she has this realization, so she can now change her behavior, get rid of that issue. But she didn't know, so she was just dragging it along lifetime to lifetime until she learned the lesson, whatever that was, and it took 4 lifetimes to figure that out.
Do you subtly suggest how that they might fix it, whatever this problem may be?
I don't need to.
You don't need to. As soon as they realize it, come to the realization of what it is, it automatically kind of gets corrected.
Exactly. Phobias. Let's go there.
Yeah.
Okay. Phobias is a good one. Go back to the origin. Now, they could flip to another lifetime or could flip to something in childhood or some other time in their lifetime, even as an adult. They just didn't realize how it really affected them. Once they see the origin, then they see they don't need to have it anymore. And that's when they can let go of it because they realize they don't need it anymore. Okay. I had a lineman once that came in, had a fear of heights. Why he was a lineman is beyond my comprehension, but he was. Okay. He came to me to find out the reason, try and cure it, right? So I took him back to the origins. Wow, I didn't realize that. And do you realize you don't need this anymore? Yeah, I don't. Brought him back out again. And I always tell them when I bring them back out of the hypnosis that they will remember everything. They should anyway, but I just reinforce that they will remember everything. Okay. And so he comes out of this hypnosis, bring him out, and he's like, oh man, I feel so good. Because you really do feel good. You've been relaxed for like an hour, deep relaxation. So you feel really good. Right. So, but anyway, remember my office was on the second floor. And I took him over to one of the windows because there was a telephone pole like right outside the window. And I said, hey, take a look at that telephone pole there. And he goes, yeah, so? And he's like, oh my God, I'm not afraid of it. I'm not scared. There you go. So they're really very easy to fix if you know how to do that. Not everybody knows how to do that, unfortunately.
Well, there's a lot of psychologists out there who like to prescribe a pill
Oh, love pills. They love them.
to help with those little neuroses. They think that through prescribing pills, like say Prozac or whatever, that they can help not cure, but they can help you deal with it better. Is this dealing at all with the subconscious?
No, pharmaceutical does not deal with the subconscious. No, pharmaceutical is there to, like you said, help them deal with whatever it is.
I think it's cope. I think it's cope.
No,
yeah,
there
cope
you go.
to deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Help them cope, deal with the issue, whatever. Or, sometimes they still can't deal with it. Again, sometimes they don't even know why they're. Anxiety is a good one for that. People have anxiety. They don't have a clue why they have anxiety. They have no idea.
Yeah.
I'd love to get my hands on them. Anyway.
Everybody has. I mean, it seems like everybody today has certain types of anxiety, and they take a pill for it. I mean, children are bombarded with a myriad of pills for anxiety.
Right, but they're not getting to the root cause of the anxiety. They don't know why they're anxious.
Correct.
And that's where hypnotherapy could come in
Right.
and get them to the root of that anxiety to see they don't need to have that anxiety anymore.
Right.
Mainstream doctors today and psychologists today, that's not on their agenda. Their agenda is to push pills, talk to them to deal with the head, what's going on in the head.
Yeah.
And, and so they tend to, and that started back like in the 50s that they started turning.
Yeah, back in the 1950s, psychologists, they started to subdivide.
Right.
And there was a group that came out with, said that pills were the answer to help patients cope.
Right.
The other one said, no, therapy, let's discuss it. Let's do the Freud school of thought. And the other said, no, we'll do the chemical train of thought,
right,
and then we'll work that out. And this is when Valium and lithium and LSD and some of this stuff, which was totally legal at the time, even heroin was, in a small solution was legal. The cocaine industry, laudanum was there, and then that would help calm people down and then help them cope. And so
doctors made them high.
Yeah, they said, hey, let's get high, and you can cope a lot better if you're high.
You know
what I'm saying?
You don't care about nothing.
You don't care about anything. Good old Americans, coping with drugs and alcohol and rock and roll.
That's
and
right.
And that's what made us great.
That's right. Sex, drugs,
and rock and roll. And, who needs pills when you have all that?
Exactly.
But, the deviation happened. And then this is where we get into the school of thought of saying, what is a good diagnostic tool? So we develop machinery in order to diagnose things in your body, X-ray machines, MRI machines, neurological testing machines or whatever, EEG machines. We developed the machines to look at the body or give us a result from experiments with the body, blood tests and things like that. And the more sensitive that these machines became, the better we could use them as a diagnostic tool. Right. But what you're telling me through hypnosis is that the subconscious is one of the better or best diagnostic tools.
I would probably say so, because the subconscious knows what's going on with the body. Okay, and I would kind of love to do this now that we're talking about it. Actually, is there's never been any studies. Well, doctors and psychologists started poo-pooing hypnosis, because they felt it was a threat. So they started poo-pooing. It's kind of like the medical doctors started poo-pooing the osteopathic doctors, even though the osteopathic doctors actually have a year more of training. But the MDs felt threatened, so they started slamming them.
Sure.
And so that's what they do if they don't like a group or whatever.
Yeah.
And kind of that's what happened to hypnosis. It was getting a really, really bad rap, bad name. And so people were just staying away from it because they were afraid of hypnosis. And, the experience that I've had, I would not be surprised if I regressed somebody that had an illness. They don't know what's wrong, and I have them scan their body for what's going on. Might find an entity there. That's seriously, I could.
Yes, I'm not throwing that out.
Yeah. To have the subconscious mind while they're under the state of hypnosis, find out what actually is going on with the body. What is actually wrong with it? Because it's amazing how the subconscious knows everything, absolutely everything. The current day, all the way back to Your origin in the subconscious mind, your soul. It has it all in there, and it can access, whatever. So I would say you could find out before people did all the expensive tests and all of that stuff.
The medical industry today in the 21st century has become a big business in diagnostic testing.
Yeah,
and there are specialists that just do testing, whether it be blood or neurological or MRI. I mean, these are people who are specialized in that field.
Right, neuro, orthopedics.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can go on and on and on. Yeah. They have built industries, businesses in hospitals around these facilities for diagnostic development.
Right.
So the doctor doesn't want to prescribe anything because they have not reached a diagnosis. Well, now you have to go through 1,000 tests before they can come up with a diagnosis. Okay, this is expensive, even in healthcare costs in dollars. If you had good healthcare,
very expensive.
They say, well, we don't want to jump because then that would be like something like malpractice. Well, in the state of Missouri, I can only sue you for $1 million in malpractice, and they all carry malpractice insurance. So they shouldn't even be worried about that. There should be no reason why a new test comes out, they have to use it to show that they're not incompetent about the testing. So they have to do all this testing and weed out what you don't have versus what you may have.
Yeah, it's called rule out.
Yeah, rule out.
You have to rule out that the gallbladder is the problem. You have to rule out that the colon is, so all of these tests, and that's what they're doing. That's what we call it, ruled out. Okay, we ruled out the gallbladder, and then we rule out, the colon. They had an upper and lower GIs. Well, okay, that's all clear. That's not the problem.
Right.
Let's move on to the next one. And that's exactly what it's about, and why you wind up with so many tests, because they're ruling out various things that it could be.
Yes, but okay. But as a diagnostic tool through hypnosis,
I think that worked much faster and better and cheaper.
Do you think it'd be less expensive?
Well, are you kidding me?
And less expensive than having all these tests done.
Absolutely.
Because what if there's a test they have not invented, and then that could resolve your issue? So if you have 20 tests and there's not another test, and they still cannot find the problem with you, okay, the last resort should be the first resort, and that is talk to your subconscious. Isn't that the logic process?
Well, it is, but we're back to the doctors got to support the hospitals with all the expensive tests, and the pharmaceutical companies, they have to get their money from all the pharmaceuticals that are given, because there's a lot of pharmaceuticals given for these tests, also certain tests, and so it's just a big business, and so
it's an industry. It's not a business. It's an industry.
Yeah.
It has become a way to. In the old days, they would say, if the tests don't kill you, the diagnosis sure will, because they've got to run all these tests on you. But at the same time, I'm sitting there thinking there has to be an easier way, and it doesn't have to be psychopharmacology. It can be something else. And I have yet to have been to a doctor or even a psychologist and have them once sit down and say, hey, let's hypnotize you, do a survey of your body. Through your
body scan.
Yeah, body scan through your subconscious. I have never heard anyone, I've not come across any of that at all.
That's not standard. That's not standard to do that. And the doctors, they got to have their little power trip.
I know, but see, if you eliminate one diagnostic test, okay, then under the option of being illegitimate, malpractice. Yeah. It's because so you have to run all the tests that you understand in order to come to a diagnosis.
Right.
Well, if you understand that hypnotherapy is a test and you're not running it.
Right. Yeah. But, they don't think like us.
I don't think anyone thinks like us. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, that's true too.
So I know you maybe lose my train of thought, but anyway,
Sorry.
that's the whole idea, is that we are not using the full bag of diagnostic tools.
Right.
If we understand that hypnosis does work. Okay. Now you've treated several people for smoking and eating habits and things like that. Have they ever relapsed? Did they ever go back to smoking or back to overeating?
Some do and some don't. It depends on the person. You have free will, And if you don't really, really, really want to quit, you're not going to. You might quit for a while, but it's going to come back. Okay. And the same thing with that. Hopefully, and and then there's people that boom, it's all they needed. They don't need anymore, But then again, in those cases, I took them back to the origin of why they overate or why they felt the need to smoke, And they could always go back to the origin, the reason why, Oh, I love the smell of smoke from my parents smoked. That's the only reason. They saw, that's kind of stupid. And they quit. It's the same thing. And generally that works better than the other stuff that they, you hate smoking, you don't want to smoke, you feel wonderful as a non-smoker, blah, blah, blah.
Have you seen that commercial? I don't know if you've seen this commercial, but it's a couple and they're in the hospital with their father. Their father was a smoker and he's dying of emphysema or cancer. And then they walk outside the hospital to have a smoke.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, and they say, well, why are we doing this? Because we absolutely know the result's going to happen. And they're selling Nicoderm patches.
Oh, Nicoderm patches.
See what I'm saying?
Okay.
To get you off that.
Yeah.
Now, when someone quits smoking under hypnosis, do they go cold turkey? Do they have any type of...
they can go cold turkey.
DTs,
Well, not DTs.
Well, not DTs, but I'm just saying, do they go through
symptoms.
withdrawal?
Yeah. Well, generally, if they do quit under hypnosis, they don't really get the withdrawal symptoms. Your body compensates, the subconscious compensates for that, so that you don't have the withdrawal symptoms, because there is a physical reason for the withdrawal, and that's the same with drugs, alcohol. The DTs are withdrawing from drugs.
Yeah.
Because you have receptor sites on your cells.
Yeah.
Okay. And that drug, smoke, whatever took over that receptor site. Well, then if the receptor site doesn't have that anymore, it goes bonkers. That's your system. That's why you have all the symptoms that you do have of withdrawal, because of the little cells and the receptor sites.
Right. The nicotine is not there anymore.
Right.
And so it's definitely missing something.
Right.
And it's going to react.
The body compensates for that.
The subconscious will compensate for that.
Well, the subconscious has the body.
Yes, right. But
subconscious is got it. You're right. Yeah.
Trigger will not. It will activate or deactivate the withdrawal symptoms, so they don't have them as much.
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, in my way of thinking, the subconscious would kind of tell the body, no, we don't need any withdrawals, because eventually the receptor sites are going to have their normal receptors on them, and then you're good to go. That's what you need and that's when people start feeling better after their withdrawal symptoms. Their receptor sites have been filled with what they're supposed to be filled with. Yeah.
Now, I've been told, like with Prozac and a few other drugs to battle depression, that you can't come off of them cold turkey. You just can't stop taking Prozac. You have to
wean yourself off.
Yeah, wean yourself off. Well, this is the same thing that people are trying to do with nicotine and alcohol and things like that. You see what I'm saying? Right. So the receptor cells are doing the same thing. You have to wean yourself off of these drugs.
Right.
So you can tell that the drug technically is not curing the problem.
No.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you're having the same reaction, but you're not curing the problem.
Right. So the problem is still there.
Right. Yeah. So they're not. So a lot of people are not curing problems with a pill. They are not curing the problem.
They're masking.
They're masking it.
Yeah.
They're helping
them
cope.
The things. Yeah. That's all. They're just masking. And that's why hypnosis can, be so therapeutic. Getting back to medical issues. There's a doctor, psychiatrist, Dr. Brian Weiss, and he's written several books. And the first book he ever wrote is called Many Lives, Many Masters, or Many Masters, Many Lives, one of the two, Dr. Brian Weiss. And he is Jewish. You need to know that up front. Okay. They don't believe in reincarnation. They don't believe in anything. Okay. So he has this lady referred to him. Catherine is her name. And Catherine has been to every psychiatrist there's in this big city. I don't remember what city it is, but it's a big city, and nobody's been able to help her. She has multiple issues, medical problems, she chokes when she drinks water, for heaven's sake. She just is a lot of problems. Okay. So Dr. Weiss, he's like, okay, I'll take her. I'll give her a crack, So he does. And what he did was he put her in a state of hypnosis and told her to go to the origin of the reason she chokes on water, expecting her to go to someplace in childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she flipped back to another lifetime where she drowned. That's why she chokes on water, because she drowned.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when she was able to see that's where it came from, and that she didn't need that anymore, it went away. But in the meantime, Dr. Weiss is going, he did not expect her to go to another lifetime. And so he was just kind of flying by his pants, with this, so to speak, because it never happened before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when he brought her out and saw how it worked, he was like, okay, we're going to have to, this is working. So that's how he started treating her with each problem she had. Go
Mm-hmm.
back to the origin of it. And, now he's used to, okay, she can go to another lifetime. Okay. Which she usually did. Everything came from past lives, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, as he did each time, it cured something on her. All right. So, and this is over a course of a very long time. So then one day he's in there and he's doing his usual thing, and a booming voice comes out of her mouth, and it was the masters from the other side, and had messages for him, and were using Catherine to come through Catherine to talk to him and give him information on what he should be doing. Mm-hmm. I believe that's what it was. When they'd come up every once in a while. These masters would come every once in a while and just give him all this information. So that's why it's the title, Many Lives, Many Masters, because mm-hmm. masters kept coming through to him also and explaining reincarnation and, and all this stuff to him. So, but by the end of the book, which Catherine is totally free of everything that she walked in with, all the issues. She's totally free of all of them because she drugged them all from past lives. Mm-hmm. But now that she was shown that she didn't need to have those, everything went up. She was happy. She was great. She felt great and went on and led a very full, productive life after that.
Okay, I have two things to say, which is very poignant. But what if it's just auto-suggestion? What if it's just suggestion that they're convincing themselves that these things are going away?
It's not auto-suggestion. You cannot suggest yourself to go back to the 14th century, okay? you just can't. It's not auto, you can't. And the hypnotherapist, mm-hmm. It's not their job to guide them someplace. Their job is to say, for instance, when I did a past life regression, I'd either say to them, okay, you're going to be walking down this long hallway and there's all doors on the right and left. You go through whatever door you feel you should be going through. And that's the lifetime they would go into. Or you're in a park, there's this little bridge over a babbling brook. As soon as you get on the other side, then you're going to be where you need to be. So I never let them on. I said, mm-hmm. This is you go here, it's your choice.
So the subconscious mind is really
taken over,
mm-hmm. leading them to the
past life
event
mm-hmm.
that
right. And the subconscious, since it has your memories from the day you were created, your soul was created, mm-hmm. it's always going to take you to a lifetime that is pertinent to this lifetime, always. And the lady, I tell you about the lady?
Actually,
no?
Okay. There's a lot of ladies out there.
Okay. Well, okay. One of my clients.
Okay. One of your clients.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So with that in mind, I had this client came in, wanted past life regression. Okay. She went into past life. Okay. Normal. And she spontaneously jumped into a second past life, which happens every once in a while, not common, but it happens. Mm-hmm. She spontaneously goes to a third lifetime. Now that's unusual, mm-hmm. okay, to mm-hmm. get to a third lifetime. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting there going, holy schmoly, because I don't know what's going on by this point in time,
Right.
and she's, she's talking, and all of a sudden she goes, oh my God, and I'm doing it again. And she says, I can't believe I'm doing it again. So whatever she was doing, this was the fourth lifetime that she had drugged this through,
Right.
and she still hadn't learned. But that's an example of how the subconscious is going to take you where you need to go. She needed to go through all of those. She wasn't getting it with the first two, obviously. So it took her to another one before she finally figured it all out. And that's what it's going to do when you're, in a past life regression. It's going to take you to a point of life that is going to be pertinent and help you in this lifetime also. That's its job. No, that's its job. And all hypnosis is a deep state of relaxation. And what you're doing is bypassing the conscious mind. Because the conscious mind, it's going to put up all these barriers. No, don't go, no, don't, and try and protect you, and so you have to kind of lull it to sleep to get to the subconscious mind, because that's where everything needs to be. Where you need to do things is in the subconscious mind.
Yeah, I was just watching a television show today, and one of the guests said that the subconscious study, the study of the subconscious, is now the next newest realm of science, that they're now targeting the subconscious realm or the subconscious mind as a academic scenario. So they're at least they're brave enough to admit it instead of just bypassing it completely. They are now saying that there is some credibility in analyzing the subconscious mind from their point of view.
Right.
So
they're waking up.
They're waking up. So people are waking up
to this. Yes.
Yes. Now, again, a lot of this falls into the parameters of self-help. Reduce my anxiety, quit my bad habits, quit having the fear, anxiety, and things like that. A lot of this falls under self-help, but I don't think it goes to the depth that many self-help guidances are given.
Oh, Lord, no.
Because I could go to a lot of lectures by self-help gurus who say, you can go out there and you can be successful and you can have all this and you can do it. Just set your mind to it. And then you can have, this will all happen. But if my subconscious doesn't really accept it, then it's not going to happen.
No, it's not.
That's I think that's something the audience doesn't grasp, or it's never presented to the audience that this is.
Well, of course not. Then they're trying to sell something. Okay, they're selling their book. They're selling whatever. Okay,
you got that, sister. You've got that. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
So and we also have to remember that we have lessons to learn each lifetime. When we're in between lives, we decide what lesson we need to learn, that we want to learn. Okay, let's change that to want to learn. Okay, so then you wind up picking out your parents, your siblings, friends, whatever. And souls all tend to travel together. So it's most of the time when somebody is regressed into another lifetime, they're going to know people from that lifetime as the people from this lifetime. Okay, like Brother Joe is now your wife, because it goes either, you can go either way. I mean,
absolutely.
So your subconscious is going to take you to there. All right. Where were we going with this?
Well, we're resolving issues through self-help.
Self-help. Okay.
And so to help ourselves, really, we need to confront some of these events in our past lives through our subconscious.
Right. Well, not so much confront as being shown.
Deal with.
Being shown. Yeah. So then they know how to, what it is and what they need to do to deal with it, if they even need to deal with it.
Right.
A lot of times they see it and like, oh, I don't need that anymore. What's wrong? But you also have to throw in, we're back to the in-between lives and choosing your life and whatever. Okay. You can do all the self-help you want. You can do all the stuff this guy is telling you to do and buy every single thing. But if that's not part of your life plan, it ain't going to happen ever. That's not part of your life plan.
You mean I spent thousands of dollars on self-help and it's not really going to help me?
Haven't had help by now, Michael. I'm sorry, babe.
I am helpless. Fortuna. I am, definitely helpless. No, but there have been. Every so many years, there's always a new thing out. And now there's a thing called quantum hypnosis. Quantum hypnosis. And it's people talking to people's subconscious. And the subconscious or the I would say higher self or subconscious, I'm going to say subconscious mind,
Right.
is now saying things about the future events, which are going the opposite way. So we're not talking about a past life now. We're talking about
Future events.
future events, which the subconscious mind is aware of
Right.
and is now able to, if it's pertinent to that individual, they'll say something, or it will say something.
So, although they can go to it. And actually I've done that with a couple of people.
Yeah.
Took them and they wanted to know.
They wanted to know.
They
Yeah.
wanted to see what their future was. Right. And for me at the time, it was an experiment. If that was going to work, and it did. Now of course I'll never know if that was right or not. To them it was very real. It was very real. You can't ask for anything else other, and back on this, the self-help, you can self-hypnotize yourself.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people can. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
Athletes hypnotize themselves a great deal in order to perform better. They have better focus. They have better concentration. They can control their breathing. This is a lot of meditation and self-hypnosis.
I've taken myself to my own past lives.
Oh, really?
Through help.
Wow.
Through self-hypnosis.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, when I was learning how to do it, of course, I was. Other students and I were working on each other.
Sure, absolutely.
But I bought audio, back then it was a cassette, of guided meditation for the hypnotic state. And it worked. And I went back to a lifetime. It was pretty wild, because that one was about my mom and my son Ray and myself, and how our interactions have been throughout lifetimes.
Right.
Right. So-and-so is taking care of so-and-so, so you're taking care of that so-and-so.
Exactly.
And so that's
this butterfly effect of our relationships and the results, the karma. Of our relationships that we've established. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you can do self-hypnosis for past life regression. I will caution you on doing that.
It's best with a trained professional.
Well, that's
Don't try
true.
this on the radio.
Yeah, unless you know what you're doing. But the only reason I say that, caution that, is because of the possibility of going to a past life that, again, subconscious is going to take us there. If there was a traumatic event, that would be another traumatic event for you to go through that again. Okay.
Oh, that's right. If you don't control it and see it as a movie, but with a detachment cue.
That's how I told all of my clients. Anything that you see that's traumatic, you're going to view it as a movie. No emotion, no feeling to it. Doesn't mean anything. You're just sitting there watching a movie, perfectly calm. And it does work. That's what drives me crazy about these TV shows and movies. When the people under hypnosis and they're yelling and screaming and reliving the whole trauma, and I'm sitting there going, "What the hell what are you doing?"
That's the dramatic effect for television.
I know.
If you can't scream anymore on television, you just don't have any ratings. It seems like.
I know.
I've watched those Housewives of Atlanta, and it's like they all need counseling.
Oh yeah.
Housewives of New York, and now they have athletic wives. Wives of famous baseball or basketball, and it's like. Oh my God! I watch. Show you how crazy I am. I watch Jack and Ozzy Osbourne's World Detour. Ever watch that?
Never heard of it.
Oh my God! I don't know why I even watch this show, but I watch it, and it is such a revealing, I guess, show on how vulnerable and childish people really are. We're just very vulnerable.
Yeah,
we can be taken advantage of, and we can be told that we are failures and we're worthless and things like that, and we become dysfunctional. And
that can all be worked with under hypnosis too.
Yes, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh my God, do these people need help? They need help not only psychologically. They need to go into hypnosis and then find out really what their problem is. They are ticking away at a time bomb in many cases. I feel that hypnosis needs to go back to a medical field to a certain extent. And I have been what I call armchair social anthropologist by watching all these crazy shows on television. And going on a game show or reality TV does not cure your problems. If
right.
anything, they're looking for people who are slightly off in
Right.
order to draw in the ratings.
It's
entertainment.
It's sick entertainment.
It's sick entertainment.
It's sick entertainment.
We are virtually laughing at the people in the psych ward with their problems. You see what I'm saying? Now,
I'm
I don't
laughing at those people, not the psych ward people.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying
I'm a psych nurse, by the way.
Yeah,
everybody.
I know. Vicki Main is a registered nurse, a certified hypnotherapist, and she's psychic to the stars.
No.
But there was, you told me of a book that a gentleman wrote that he went to a prison and he would put people under hypnosis and he would talk to their subconscious. And a lot of them had entity attachments. A lot of them had possessions, but they had overwhelming influences on their subconscious mind. And once this was brought out, they seemed to be so much better.
Right.
As a prisoner. Unfortunately, they committed a serious crime.
Right.
But he was able.
Probably the attachment that caused
the reaction.
Commit
That's
the
right.
crime.
That's,
and that can happen. Entities, ghosts.
Yes.
When someone dies and they were mean and nasty, or they had this alcohol problem, they're going to look for somebody vulnerable to attach to satisfy that drinking problem.
Yes.
And that person is going to change their behavior. You've heard everybody say, man, I don't know what happened to Johnny over there. He's not like he used to be at all. And it's 9 times out of 10, I'd say he has an attachment of an entity that had a drug, alcohol, whatever, and has attached themselves to this person. Because that person, people will say, you know, he didn't even look the same.
Yes.
You know,
right.
The mannerisms aren't even the same. It's like he's a whole nother person. You know, what happened? That's what happened. He's got, and not one of the little ones I was just talking about. This is a full-blown entity that is strongly influencing this person.
The influence is just overwhelming.
Right. The person themselves has no idea. You know, it's that subtle, but they're able to control what this person is doing and change their behavior, change their demeanor, change their looks, everything. So they can sure do that. And people like that definitely need to see a therapist. And get that taken care of. You know?
There are many things, I think, like I said, we have so many cues in our society besides reality TV, but we have road rage. We have people who are neurotic and they're confused and they're scared and they're afraid. And a lot of this is driven by our society to perform longer, harder, faster, to make it so. And they have just written this off as, well, this is just the way the world is.
Right.
But actually they're being affected on the subconscious level as well as the conscious level. And then they don't have any defense to this. So stress, the stress factor builds up to where they can't defend themselves against all of this aggression, all this fear and aggression.
Right.
So through hypnosis, that is about the only determining factor, because you can't drink enough, you won't be able to take enough pills in order to cure or make any of this subside. And coping is not curing. Coping does not cure.
Yeah.
And so sometimes hypnosis is the only way that we can combat, defend ourselves against this onslaught.
Right. Yeah.
This is the world we've created. This is not the world that it should be. We just created this.
Yes,
because we were bored and had nothing else better to do. But our subconscious mind will tell us that we need to clean house every now and then.
Yeah, it's you know, hypnosis is really an awesome tool. It's an awesome tool. I loved doing past life regressions. They were so satisfying because they help people, really help them.
Well, do you walk in and say, okay, we're going to do a past life regression, or do you come in and say, you have a problem, we're going to look for its origins? I mean, are you approaching it the same way but taking 2 different avenues, or are there 2 different methods in this?
Well, people usually call and say, I want to be regressed. I want to do a past life regression. That's what they're coming to me for.
Oh, I see.
Okay. And then on the other side, the one with the fears and the phobias, then you take them back to the origin. Well, you be prepared because they could flip back to another lifetime.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Which still winds up being a past life regression. But that's not how you really started, but you don't really know where it's going to come from. Majority of them have been in childhood, but yeah, there's those that they've drug it from another lifetime. That lady, she was on her fourth life before she finally figured it all out. So
be prepared to ask a question and then be prepared for its answer.
Don't ask the question
if you're not ready for the answer.
Don't ask the question if you can't handle the answer.
That's correct.
That's what I tell everybody for readings also.
Yeah, that is the main thing. We are dealing in a world, a paranormal world, or just a big world that's filled with information and origins of information, and we can access that through the subconscious, through the subconscious mind.
Right.
And that is, like you said, it's a diagnostic tool. It's one of the bigger tools, I think, in the handbag of humanity. And I think that it should always be used by a certified hypnotherapist or qualified individual who knows how to do it and the repercussions of it.
Right.
And so you can have, if your bone is broken, definitely have an x-ray. Well, you know what I'm saying?
That's kind of self-explanatory.
If you have certain problems, definitely there are diagnostic tools out there. But when it comes to the psyche itself, the best diagnostic tool is your own own subconscious.
Right. Exactly.
To help yourself get out of the way of yourself.
Right.
To get rid of your phobias and your
fears, phobias in the world of psychiatry. People with bipolar, schizophrenia, and everything in between. You could regress them. They either got an attachment or there's something else that they're dragging along that they need to see they don't need it anymore.
So quit punishing yourself.
Yes.
And get some hypnotherapy done or just some good old-fashioned therapy. I believe that we are complex creatures.
Very complex.
We have different cues that will help us as we go through this life. And I think that's hypnotherapy. Hypnosis is one of those tools, very seldom ever talked about, but should be used far more often than what it is.
Oh, absolutely, it should be used more
to this day. Yeah,
but I am glad that I am seeing a resurgence in hypnotherapy, and more psychologists and psychiatrists are using hypnosis. When I worked at Barnes Psychiatry, and that's when I had my office, and I had so many of those docs. Now we're talking top docs at Barnes.
Yes.
Okay, psychiatrists.
In St. Louis, Missouri. Barnes Medical at St. Louis.
That's right.
Because a lot of people don't know where we're at. So.
Yeah.
We're in a bombed out basement waiting for the apocalypse. Oh no, we actually have real lives.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah. So I mean, these top notch psychiatrists are sitting me down, going, "Tell me about hypnotherapy. Tell me about it. What, and so I would, explain it all to them. They're like, wow, that's really cool. And I'm like, yeah, it is, and there were several of them that were going to investigate more about hypnosis and the use of hypnosis, because they were just blown away at some of the things that I was quote unquote curing, which I really wasn't. I was just guiding them to where they needed to be, but it took care of the problem.
Right.
That really fascinated them. No drugs, no hospitalization. Woohoo.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that everything is easy to cure under hypnosis, but I think that as a diagnostic tool, I think it stands out among many as a diagnostic tool, using the right hands. I think. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, that has been our hour this week. This has been our hour today, and our paranormal. So paranormal includes as well as hypnosis and entities and the super subconscious, the subconscious mind, and how we can all work together in this universe that we call life. And that has been our show. Vicki, do you have any information that you would like to give to the general public?
I do. Thank you. If anybody would like to contact me for reading, I don't do past life regressions anymore. I don't know. I might get back into that though.
Yeah.
Not at this time. But if you want a reading, I also do psychic parties also. Okay. So, you can think about that. My contact information is 314-398-2827. That's 314-398-2827. I also have a page on Facebook called Psychic Vicki. that you can go to and leave me a message there also.
Yeah, Vicki's in the St. Louis area. She's been
Yes.
here all of her life and probably
my
in
life.
several other lifetimes as well.
Probably.
And she is a permanent resident here. So if you're in the St. Louis area or anywhere in the nation, you can call her or contact her via Facebook and call her phone
Right.
and set up an appointment. She does do psychic readings over the phone. So
I do.
Don't be afraid of that.
Yeah, no, I do that also. So
Yeah.
you don't have to come to my house. I don't have an office. I don't have to go to your house. We can do it on the phone. The only thing I would tell you also is make sure you either record it, the conversation, or take extensive notes, because I'm not going to remember what I tell you.
Right.
I'm the vessel.
Right.
The information passes through me. It doesn't retain in my head, and I don't want it in my head. Okay. So, be sure to have something, ready to record the conversation or take extensive notes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we thank you for listening, and this has been our show. So tune in next time as we'll talk about something else in the bizarre, crazy world of the paranormal. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. Bye. Until next time, folks.
This has been a Lynch Scientific production. All rights reserved. Copyright 2018.